On AM 1130, 99.9 FM, Prescott, Chino Valley, and Paulden, 95.5 FM, Prescott Valley and Cottonwood, the talk of the Quad Cities, KQNA. It's Hammertime. Waking up with the YCCA. Hammertime is brought to you by Lawhorn Plumbing, Verde Valley Alarm Services, Earthworks Landscape and Supply, Prescott Home Safety, Get Right Mitigation, Franklin Plumbing, The Blind Brothers, Caltex, Vicente Landscaping, Barrett Propane, Dignity Health, Yavapai Regional Medical Center, and Badger Roofing. And now from the studios of KQNA, it's Hammertime. Waking up.
Oh, I can hardly talk. I'm so stuffed.
I wondered, you waddled in here.
Waddled? You said I waddled?
Those stuff people do, they waddle around.
I've never been told I've waddled before. Welcome to Hammer Time, listeners. What a great weekend it is. Today is Saturday, November 30th, unless you tune in tomorrow. And then you will be less stuffed because it's December the 1st.
A brand new month.
A brand new month. Oh, it's still deja vu.
We're deja vu for one more day.
We're deja vu for one more day. How are you?
Stuffed. Couldn't you tell by the way I waddled in?
Oh, I can hardly wait to talk about turkey stuff with our guest and see if he waddled in here. So we'll talk about Thanksgiving and what we ate and what we don't like to eat and how full we are and what the holiday means. And I have a challenging question. And again, we will wait till our guest gets here because he is so over-the-top intelligent. It's incredible what this guy knows. So I'm putting him on the spot. How's Patty?
She is just doing dandy, thank you.
Perfect. Is she moving around and hopping and skipping?
Not doing that yet, but
okay.
She's basically actually finished this week with her home therapy, and she starts with out-of-home therapy this next week.
Perfect.
Does that for 6 weeks. So.
For our listeners, she had a knee replacement. And when are you going to get a replacement part?
Well, I asked them when we were down getting her surgery done, I said, can we do twofers? And she said, does your knee bother you? And I said, no, I thought maybe you'd do a complimentary frontal lobotomy. And she just looked at me and shook her head, and she said, no.
No, sir.
No, sir.
So other than that, I'm glad to be on air, glad to be back. And we have a great topic this morning. We're going to talk about manufactured housing, park models.
Wonderful.
And the new way of building, in my mind, the up-and-coming, more affordable housing product.
Super. That's going to be very interesting. But I have to draw back and defer to ask you, how was your Thanksgiving?
You told me I waddled in here, so...
Is that explanation enough?
That should be enough. So take us to break, and when we come back, we will introduce the world, the universe, to our guest.
Absolutely. I can't wait. You're listening to Hammer Time, brought to you by Yavapai County Contractors Association, and we're airing on Talk of the Quad Cities. That's KQNA 1130 AM, 99.9 FM, and 95.5 FM. If you're in Cottonwood or Prescott Valley. So please stay tuned for some great messages from our ever so stellar sponsors. Fill up that cup of coffee or have your orange juice, and we'll be right back.
You're listening to Hammer Time, waking up with the YCCA, a presentation of the Yavapai County Contractors Association. Once again, here's your host, Sandy Griffiths.
Hey listeners, good morning and welcome to Hammer Time, brought to you by Yavapai County Contractors Association. Okay, so we're just going to dive right in.
Perfect.
John Rocha is our over-the-top stellar guest with us this morning, owner of Southwest Homes. John, my friend, welcome to Hammer Time.
Thank you so much, Sandy. I'm glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Okay, so did I really waddle in?
Yeah. I was going to say gobble gobble if he actually said that, but yes, a little bit of a waddle to the step there.
But that's a good sign. It means you had a good Thanksgiving.
Yes. Okay, so I have a gazillion important questions to ask. And you know how we hear on the weather guys, the weather stations, the weather people, how they always say, oh, today's going to be partly cloudy in the morning and then mostly cloudy in the afternoon. And then tomorrow it's going to be somewhat cloudy. How do we know, and what do we think about all this? Mostly, partly, and somewhat. I don't get it.
It's a reach.
I mean, that's true. It's a way of being kind of right and kind of wrong, I guess.
All at the same time.
All at the same time.
So driving to the studio, it was like cloudy, and I think, okay, is it partly cloudy, mostly cloudy?
Good question.
But I could see blue skies, so I'm thinking, okay,
That's
partly cloudy, maybe. Okay.
To be followed by cloudy. Or mostly.
Well, I certainly hope that our radio show is not cloudy. That's all I can say, right? We are totally sunny with blue skies. So John Rocha, owner of Southwest Homes. John is for our listeners, a very competent, driven real estate professional who specializes in development.
Yeah.
How in the world did you pick that field?
Well, I mean, been doing real estate now for about 12 years, right? In the typical sense, getting with a brokerage. Initially, when I got my license, I knew construction was what made me tick, and being around builders, helping them find lots, being somehow in that sphere of development was always my interest. And so, you just kind of meet people, get educated, learn, keep an open mind, learn as much as you can. And about 4 years ago, I stumbled across the factory built business, really in just investments, personal investments. I just started buying lots and before I even did that, I went to go see. I remember the first time 4 years ago, I went into Phoenix and saw a factory built model, and I guess I could relate with most people that in some way in our heads we just feel like the factory built manufactured housing never progressed.
It was people thought it was so cheap, and it would depreciate land values, and not in my neighborhood.
Yep. Yeah, and everybody has that stigma, that negative stigma. In fact, I always use the metaphor of, we have the phones that are no longer brick phones, but they're smartphones, right? And the way that we get our cars and the chips that are made for our computers and electronic devices, and how we get our food and our clothing and all those things. Everybody's okay with how we live from a factory built perspective, right? Like, it goes through the factory, and this is how I get my clothes. It goes through a factory, and this is how, or a processing facility, and I get my chicken. But with housing, for whatever reason, we couldn't ever overcome the same problem.
Built in a factory.
Yeah, it's like, oh gosh, if it's built in a factory, it must be terrible quality housing, and
it's not going to last.
Not going to last, yeah. So I walked in with the same mindset, if you will, back 4 years ago, and I remember walking into this model, and I was looking around, and I was like, what? And I would ask technical questions, right? So I was like, are these 2x4 walls? And they're like, no, they're 2x6 walls. And I was like, okay. And I was like, well, and then he was, we could place these on permanent foundation stem walls as well. So we have a way of reconfiguring the chassis system underneath them, have them go on stem walls. And I'm like, well, really? Wow, okay. I was like, well, what's the insulation like? I'm sure that's inferior. He's like, oh, we have R50 up in the ceiling, R19, R21. And I was scratching my head going like, really? Yeah. And then you look around and you saw vinyl plank flooring, GE appliances, solid surface countertops, 9-foot flat ceilings, Reese's can. I mean, it was everything I was seeing for the last, at that point, 8 to 9 years of new homes being built in our area. And I just couldn't, I was kind of dumbfounded, right? So and then of course, once he was even giving me price points and different prices for these homes, I was like, what? This is like it's like a hidden gem in the housing market here. So that's when I became a believer in where the factory built business was going, I guess you could say.
So then you pulled the trigger. Did you start Southwest Homes at that time?
No, not really. I guess the beginning foundations of what Southwest Homes were started at that time, just not legally as the company.
Right.
But essentially, I created an LLC. I would go buy lots, and then I would go buy homes down in Phoenix, and I would have a licensed installer by the state to go install all the homes. And we would be priced at very, very competitive prices where I couldn't do it fast enough. It was at that time, I think, when we were sold a couple in Prescott Valley. I mean, I was everywhere. It was like Chino Valley, Paulden, Prescott Valley. I remember Prescott Valley, we were going in there with like, typical Prescott Valley lot, maybe 100 by 80, and put a really nice home on it, 3-bed, 2-bath, all privacy fenced in its own, septic system, hooked up to water and all that for like $215.
Wow.
Which was
unheard of.
Unheard of. Yeah, I was young families, young singles, first-time home buyers, single veterans. I mean, all the folks that are dear to our hearts that we would love for them to get a piece of the American dream of owning, their own home, and that's what we were doing. So that's how it started.
So this is a great way to battle the competitive housing market and make it more affordable.
Oh, absolutely.
Perfect.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Mike, what do you think about manufactured living?
I would agree with what John said. It's come a long ways since the days. I'm not sure when they really started, but certainly from the 60s, 50s, and 60s, the transition has been pretty phenomenal. It's not the right fit for everyone, but it is absolutely the right fit for some who can't get into other housing also. So it definitely serves a
It has a
purpose in the
place.
marketplace.
Yes, it does.
Absolutely.
And I think, John, they're becoming more and more embedded in our communities. I mean, zoning is changing to allow for more manufactured homes. Our jurisdictions just had little pods in their developments that would allow manufactured homes. Now that net is widening to allow for more.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, in fact, historically, before 1976, right? 1976 is when HUD came along and then standardized everything about manufactured housing. They gave codes, they gave standards.
Right.
Here's the rule book, right? They have to be built, they have to be safe, all that stuff. Before then, they were it's like the Wild Wild West. Like folks could be building trailers essentially, right? And then hauling them off, parking themselves wherever they wanted. And then these communities would start springing out all over the country of quote unquote trailer communities, right? I mean, it has a very derogatory feel to it now, but back then folks were just driving these around thinking they were the coolest things, parking them, and then staying long stays in different towns. Well, most folks in town were like, okay, that changes the character of our neighborhood.
Right.
Those things were not planned for. And so zoning throughout the 60s and 70s, rightfully so, started kind of controlling where manufactured housing would go. Unfortunately, though, we've gotten so far. I mean, zoning is so far behind. I think now we're having great progress. Towns are looking at the value of what these homes can do for people. So we're starting to do good work there for sure. But in the, say, 80s to the 2000s or even till now, it was very difficult to try to streamline, right, these houses to more lots.
Right, not possible.
Yeah, it wasn't possible. It was very difficult for zoning to actually help the industry get attainable housing with the manufactured housing product for a long time.
But their eyes have been opened wide right now, and we're seeing changes.
Correct. Absolutely.
So, John and Mike, we have to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to hear my joke.
I can't wait.
I knew it. So, John Rocha, owner of Southwest Homes, Mr. Mike Enders, Bent Tree Custom Homes, and me, your YCCA girl, and our engineer. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Hammer Time, waking up with the YCCA, a presentation of the Yavapai County Contractors Association. Once again, here's your host, Sandy Griffiths.
Hey everybody, good morning, and thanks for tuning in to Hammer Time, brought to you by YCCA. Okay, guys, are you ready for this?
Drum roll.
Don't be peeking at the answer. So how do trees get on the internet?
They branch out and they leave.
No, how do trees get on the internet? Okay.
You got me.
Okay. I'm going to have to give you the answer. Are you ready?
Do I get a shot?
Yes.
They log on.
Oh,
You saw my
very
answer.
good.
I did not see your answer.
Very
That's
good.
the answer.
Very good.
Wow. Engineer, you are impressive.
Well, trees are made of logs.
Well, I am so duly impressed.
I
They
am.
log on.
I won't be
Wow,
guessing
that's awesome.
anymore.
It's up to the engineer. You have just taken first place. Because of that, you get a little bag of English toffee bites, a crunchy, buttery center enrobed in chocolate coating and sprinkled with chopped nuts. All for you. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
He wins the prize.
He does. See what you lost? See what you didn't win? Okay.
That's awesome.
So back to Southwest Homes. Where are you selling and building and planting these homes?
So pretty much right now we're in all Yavapai County, even some into Coconino now. And that's just quite honestly from the need or demand
Right.
of the price point that folks are looking at. So we're pretty up here in central northern Arizona. There, it seems to be that most of those 2 acre plus more rural settings are, folks bought their lots a couple years ago. Maybe they were planning to retire, or your active folks, young families or whatnot in the market right now. That's usually what we're doing. That's the bread and butter, is almost like a 1 to 2 acre lot, and all over Yavapai County and parts of Coconino.
So do the homes, John, come in certain lengths and widths, which would add to the price point? What's the largest?
Yeah, the largest one we can build is a 32-foot wide. Now, when I'm saying the width, it could be multiple sections put together.
Okay.
But it's 32 and by 76 feet.
Long?
So we could be at livable around 2,300 square
Wow.
feet. And then you could even add what we call in the industry tags, which are also maybe like, think of it as like another section that you can add to a master bedroom, but you can add an office, a library, a den, something like that.
And
And
they're
that would
built
increase
like that. Okay.
Exactly. So you could see, most people know them as like double wide, single wide, triple wide. So if you're pushing out to the triple wide side, we can get up to even like 2,700 square feet livable.
That's huge. That's bigger than a stick-built home sometimes.
Oh yeah. Yeah, for sure. Especially on the production side.
So then you have a company that hauls the home up here, sets it on the ground. Do they pull the permits, or do you do that?
Yeah, actually, and I'm glad you brought this up, we are all in-house. So that's what
wow.
separates us from a lot of other folks, too, is that we have a full construction crew in-house that does it internally every day.
That's amazing. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
So are you rebelling against the stick-built housing industry?
Oh, no. I think we talked about it earlier. I think that there's a place for the different housing types. It's no different than when folks are thinking like multifamily, it's like, oh, hey, multifamily and apartments and all this stuff. And it's like, but we all lived in one.
There's a need
there's
for
a
every
need
type.
for all types
Yes.
of housing. So, yeah, for us, there's no animosity to it. I think SiteBuild does things really well, and they have a market, and then we definitely have one as well.
So from start to finish, I come to your office, order a manufactured home, start to finish, from the ordering to when it's planted on the lot and I can move in. What's the timeline?
As of right now, we're 5 months.
Holy moly.
Yeah. So as of right now, we're kind of, our construction time is 2 months. And so obviously the 2 to 3 months that we don't control is permitting, right? So we usually tell folks it's like, we can't control what permit times look like and whatnot with the municipalities. But on average right now with my office, I know we're sitting at 5 months from start to finish.
That's just amazing, isn't it, Mike?
It is.
Yeah.
So you had mentioned earlier, John, about a couple having an acre or 2 acres, and of course they're doing their own septic, sometimes well, sometimes city services. Are you looking downstream and saying, it used to be years ago, quote unquote, started in California, I think in Florida, trailer parks. So manufactured housing certainly could do that same concept. And so there wouldn't be individual septic systems and or wells. It would all be a city service. Do you see that in the horizon in the general marketplace up here?
Yeah, in fact, that's a huge wave of what's happening in the country now is big money going to what we call in the industry land lease communities, right? So it's one big parcel. It's not a subdivision. and you own your house and then you rent the space, right? That's been going on for a long time. That was your traditional, mobile home park, if you will, right? Back in the day. Those are coming back now. And it's not nothing we're focusing on or doing, and I'll tell you why in a minute, but that has been a model that's worked well in that 55 plus demographic, and it's just because now they can amenitize those communities as well. So, I mean, Camp Verde has one called Verde Ranch Estates right now. It's over 250 units, and they have clubhouse, pool, gym, all the amenities you would find in, say, a site-built community, right? But the level of entry to buy a home, there's about $110,000, and then you would just rent the space, right? So it's very similar to even the build-to-rent space that we're seeing, right? Amenitized communities, and then you go and you rent your home there. So yes, that is happening, and it's happening pretty strongly, quite honestly. It's picked up in the last 5 years, I'd say, very strong. In fact, there's on the corner of Fane Road and 69 by that Maverick locally, right? There's a Desert Pines there, and that's the business model there as well. Yeah, as you rent the space, but it's not a subdivision.
Do you see that changing down the line as far as fee simple ownership of the lots themselves?
We sure hope so. In fact, ideologically, and this is a personal thing for me, I love fee simple. Manufactured housing hasn't been able to really scale into the fee simple in the past, say, decades. But it's looking very promising to start breaking through in, when I say fee simple for the listeners, is owning the piece of property, right? So you go into a new home builder community, you own your property, you build the house you want. That's fee simple. Site Built has been they've done a tremendous, outstanding job in doing that business model for many, many decades. And we're just now at the cusp of maybe having more opportunity in the manufactured housing space for products that literally now we can build 3-bed, 2-bath, 1,500 square foot houses with 2-car attached garages and still be at about $100,000 under what Site Built's doing. Sure. That's never happened before. I mean, we're really barely at that leading edge. So in our minds, there is some opportunity to start seeing maybe even full new residential communities that are a factory built product that look just like Site Built, but they're attainable, right? Because they're the cost to build there's a lot of savings in there.
I think it's just, to me, it's a psychological hurdle that would really help that industry for people to be able to say, I own my own. Not only my own dwelling, but the land beneath it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And a lot of them do. I mean, I don't think that we are going gung-ho on land lease communities in our jurisdiction.
Yeah,
I mean,
I agree.
They're not sprouting up all over. And those types of purchase models are for specific people only. Would I ever go into a land lease? Absolutely not. Yep. I mean, that's not my mentality to own a home. Right. So, but some people, yes, and we applaud them for doing that. How many models does Southwest Homes have, John? If I came in, how many models would I be going through in your book?
Oh, just like floor plans?
Yes.
Oh, gosh. We have like over 150 floor plans.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah. And I know that might be, it is overwhelming. It's overwhelming for us. It's not like we know every plan. I would say out of the 150, what we sell is like the top 10.
Oh, okay.
Right? So it's not, I don't want listeners to also feel overwhelmed to be like, how would I pick through 150?
Yeah.
We make it easy and say this is kind of the top 10 to 15 of them. And that's the 99% of what we're selling right now is the top 10, 15 sellers. And that's just, because of the age that we're in, right? Open concepts, higher ceilings, different configurations that you can utilize for homeschooling, for an office, So yes, we have a plethora of them, but we're doing better at trying to simplify that process for the buyer.
Wonderful, because I don't know if I could sit there long enough to look at 150 floor plans.
I couldn't either.
Yeah, Mike, could you?
It'd be a little confusing,
yes,
overwhelming.
It would be. Okay, we have to take a break so we don't get confused or overwhelmed with our guest and his wonderful information this morning. So don't move, listeners. Mr. John Rocha, Southwest Homes owner, operator, purveyor.
Wow.
all-encompassing man of the hour.
Thanks, Sandy.
And Mike Enders, Bent Tree Custom Homes, and the engineer who just won the contest. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Hammer Time, waking up with the YCCA, a presentation of the Yavapai County Contractors Association. Once again, here's your host, Sandy Griffiths.
This show is delightful this morning,
It is,
isn't
and
it?
informative to our guests.
Very informative to our guests. You know, factory-built homes, seriously, are becoming the smartest way, I think, to attainable, affordable home ownership nowadays. You know, and Mike, you're a custom home builder, and you will always be in that market. You will always have those homes. This is a different avenue for ownership.
It's just like vehicles in a sense. I mean, there are those that like to go out and buy Cadillacs and Ferraris, maybe, Mercedes, the upper end. But somebody just coming out of college can't afford that.
Right.
So they may be in a whole different ball game. Well, it's the same thing with housing.
I know.
Not everybody can waltz up with $1 million and say, gee, you know, here's my price point.
Exactly. And I think that the American dream of home ownership should be within everybody's reach. Everybody's reach.
Agreed.
And shame on our government.
I agree 100%.
Okay, so let me just make comment. Our show last weekend with Linda and Keith Hughes was so cool about their High Plains storage facility. Yep. Amazing. Linda with Sugar Pine and her beautiful gift shop, and then Keith Hughes and his son Doug Hughes Building Company. It was so cool. Those are just the most awesome people. So listeners, if you missed that show, please tune in to our archives, ycca.org. Okay, back to John Rocha, owner of Southwest Homes. So, guess how many children John has?
Well, by that question, it's got to be more than one or two. I'm going to say 4.
Oh, you're wrong.
5?
No.
6?
Yes.
Really?
6 kiddos, yeah.
So how old are they?
Oh, so they're all sandwiched.
This is a test.
They're all sandwiched between 12 to 6. So it's a 12-year-old, a 12-year-old, an 11-year-old.
He's got his eyes closed. He's trying to remember.
9-year-old, soon to be soon to be another 9-year-old, and then a 6-year-old. So they're all sandwiched in there.
Wow. I bet they keep you and Miss Heather busy, don't
Oh, very busy. Yeah. Though my wife's a saint, though. She's homeschooling all of them at home.
Oh, my gosh.
Good for her.
Yeah.
Good for her.
And yeah, she's got some amazing resilience and patience and grace for those kiddos.
And what about her husband?
Oh, well, I try every day to be the best dad I can. That's all I can say about that. But yeah, a lot of, if I'm not at work, you'll probably find me on a baseball field somewhere after work hours. And then most of the time we're 3 weekends out of the month in Phoenix.
That's what I thought with sports and stuff. Good
so how
for
do they
you.
break out boys and girls?
So we have 5 boys. And the youngest is the girl.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'll be darned.
Yeah, so we
Boy.
always joke with her and be like, your friends will be vetted and your brothers will have a lot
That's
to say
exactly.
about your
She
friends.
won't be able to start dating till she's 25.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, once her brothers are kind of out of sight a little bit.
So what do you do with Christmas? I mean, do you have a mantle big enough for all the stockings to be hung? And
Oh, man. Heather and I, we are so tired every year. When we wake up in the morning on Christmas, we probably are like 3 cups deep into a coffee just because we've been up wrapping and stuffing and, so it's and we have no other time to really work on it,
During the
pre-plan
year.
it because they find the stash or they're poking around.
Man, I remember that when I was a kid. We tried desperately to poke around and look for the stash. And so one year I climbed up into my mom and dad's closet in the bedroom. They were gone. Got the little step ladder and I said, I knew my dolly's got to be in this house someplace. Oh, I found the box with the dolly. And then the tears just flowed because I knew I was going to get caught and I ruined it. But I found the dolly.
Wow. So did you get like an Emmy award winning like scene there for Christmas when you pretended not to know
It was
look, it's my
yes,
dolly.
yes.
You really worked it up,
I
I'm
did,
sure.
I did, and I still have a picture to this day. So I don't think they ever knew.
Wow.
But I found the dolly. Oh, it's very.
So that's not quite as bad as my cousin, one of my cousins. He went out early in the morning, unwrapped one of his gifts, saw what it was because he was hoping it was, and then wrapped it back up.
Oh, wow.
But obviously didn't
The
do as good a
rewrapping?
job. Exactly.
So they knew?
He was busted.
That is so funny. So back to Southwest Homes, factory-built homes, again, becoming the smartest way to home ownership today. So, John, what do you see your future is like? Is this going to be growing and exploding, and it's not going to be slowing down the manufactured home market?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, no, I don't think so. I mean, there was a thought during our break, too, that I remember thinking was that we're about the only country. I mean, modular factory housing has been around in other countries for many years. Now, granted, they've done things well, some things not so well, whatever. But it just seems like for our country, for America, I mean, it's just the future does look bright. I mean, back to Mike's point about fee simple, we're close to having this opportunity to maybe break into more of a, be able to scale the fee simple side in a production sense, right? A full subdivision that you wouldn't even know the difference between a site build or factory built. I know we haven't spoken too much about that product, but that product coming out is, essentially, I think, going to really create some opportunities for us long term. And also what we've covered too is that you're never going to see that entry level price point go away. I mean,
it won't.
Folks it's the cycle of life. You're young, you're starting a family, you're out of college. You can't afford the $1 million custom home. And so I think that the need's only going to get more severe, in my opinion. You're seeing trends like construction labor, right, of just folks in the site build side of actually keeping quality, finding the right subs. It's a lot of work to really keep your the pulse on that. Material costs are not going down, right? I mean, they keep kind of ticking up here and there, really out of control for a contractor. It seems like in the factory built space, there's a little bit more governing or control of those costs that I've seen in the 4 years I've been at. Because, I mean, for example, you have, say, a giant conglomerate like Clayton Homes, right? They're a giant manufactured housing builder in the country. I mean, they've bought out during the recession Home Depot's PVC like 4 times. They would just go in and be like, we want all of your PVC, and then we want to buy it all, right? It's like they do all the hard work at the corporate level to keep the costs of labor and material low for us to be able to still offer attainable prices on the retail side.
Perfect.
And so that seems to be still working very well into the future, I think.
What about these homes are able to obtain current financing, right? Because you hear this stigma, oh, we can't obtain financing.
Oh, that's huge. Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. So all of our homes that we've sold now for 4 years, if they're on a permanent foundation, they are all financeable, 30-year fixed mortgages.
Wonderful.
VA, FHA, USDA, conventional, right? All the loans in the market. Now, the biggest kicker, though, is that even if in the past 10 years that was true, there was always still a discriminatory rate, if you will, compared to site built. So, for example, you'd go see a $350,000 site built house, $350,000 manufactured home, or $300,000, whatever it is, and you would always see a little bit of an interest rate hike on the manufactured. Yeah, and that's always been true because the lending world has always seen it as a more quote unquote riskier investment, if you will, for that mortgage. Well, as of February 2024. Fannie and Freddie came out and said that it's essentially outlawed. Like there would be no discriminatory rates between a factory built, if it's in a permanent foundation attached to land, and a site built. And if they would find out that there would be, then lenders would actually be in trouble.
Interesting.
that is
Amazing.
That is a new, that's a new Fannie
Cool.
Freddie law that was put out
Perfect.
to the world.
Listeners, we have to take a break, and I think, John, this is our last segment. I'm so sad we're going to have him back again, aren't we, Mike?
Absolutely.
So take us to break.
Absolutely. My pleasure. We're having a great conversation. If you just tuned in, there's lots that we're learning and to be learned, in this last segment. So stay tuned. You're listening to Hammertime by the Yavapai County Contractors Association. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Hammer Time, Waking Up with the YCCA, a presentation of the Yavapai County Contractors Association. Once again, here's your host, Sandy Griffiths.
Everybody, you know what? I forgot to ask you guys. Well, thanks for tuning in to Hammer Time. What is your favorite Thanksgiving leftover, John Rocha?
Oh, man.
What did you garbage out on? What did you just couldn't stop eating?
It's a casserole that's called like the cowboy potato casserole. That's like slicely thin potatoes with cheese, bacon bits, and
Oh, my gosh.
sauce and gravy.
Whoa.
Yeah, I can eat that all day. Yeah. I always go into Thanksgiving thinking I'm going to have the most willpower ever.
And
Be
we
like,
don't.
I'm going
We
to say
lose
no
it.
to this and no to that.
Yeah,
I
forget
don't
it.
need that. And
no.
here I am 4 pounds heavier.
Okay, so Mike, what is your favorite after Thanksgiving snack?
It would have to be turkey sandwiches with dressing.
You put dressing on your turkey sandwich?
Why wouldn't you?
Do you put mayonnaise?
No.
Lettuce?
Nope.
Just, was it white bread?
Turkey, yeah, white bread with, well, I shouldn't say no to mayonnaise. I usually do butter, slather that up a lot, but
How are your arteries feeling there, bud? Turkey and dressing?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I don't put sliced cranberries. I don't put those
I don't
on.
do sliced cranberries, but I make an awesome cranberry relish that I could just eat by the spoonfuls.
Yeah, and that's what we do. Same thing. You put that in a bowl. So
Kind of like with the pumpkin pie and the whipped cream in a bowl. Yeah, I got it. Why don't we do that? But it's all such good food.
it is. Well, you don't want to let it go to waste. And then my biggest problem, because I do take over, as we talked about, I take over the kitchen on Thanksgiving.
Cooking or cleaning?
Oh, just cooking, of course. But the biggest problem for me is getting up from dinner and then going out and cutting the rest of the turkey so that you can then put the carcass into the big pot to boil so that you can have
Why is
turkey
that a
soup.
problem?
Because you're full and you don't really feel like going in and
Oh, I
slicing
get
all the
it.
turkey up again.
Okay, well, just go snack while you're slicing.
Oh, not after you've had a meal.
Oh.
No, it's just that to me is one of the nice things to be able to do is put that carcass in a pot and boil it so you can have turkey soup down the road.
Okay, and that's what you did.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. John, do you boil a carcass for soup?
I do not. No, I don't have the skills or expertise on doing
neither.
that.
You don't either?
No.
Well, I'll stop by both your houses and
Okay, back to Southwest Homes. Now, you are not a franchisee, correct? You're an individual owner.
That's correct. It's
Perfect.
privately owned.
Okay. Do you have partners?
I do not.
You're the sole partner, the sole owner?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you sleep?
I sleep pretty well. Actually.
occasionally.
Occasionally, it comes in seasons. Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Between work and 5 kids, I think it would be
Six
occasional.
kids.
6
Six.
kids
Don't
would be
forget
occasional.
6.
Yeah,
Oh, my God. Do you have animals?
we do. We have 3 dogs,
Oh,
chickens,
oh.
and the wifey is really wanting a cow, a little dairy cow.
So you must not live in the city limits or the town limits or
We don't. We live right outside of Prescott Valley on the north side, about 10
Okay,
acres.
perfect.
Yeah.
like a cow to raise and then make beef
Milk.
or milk? A milk cow.
cheeses, butter. Hmm.
Who, and the wife and the kids are going to do this?
Oh, they can't wait. Yep. Yeah, we're shopping now.
For a cow?
Yep.
A baby cow, or do you buy one that's
We start
already...
with a baby.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not at all an expert on cows, but I mean, she's doing the research work.
Okay, perfect. on how to buy a cow.
Yep, and we're helping with I'm helping with logistics mainly.
Okay, like building a shed for the cow. Wonderful. So, John, what
Yeah.
did we not cover that's so valuable and important to you as Southwest Homes for our listeners?
Gosh,
because
I mean,
the
I think
show is yours.
Oh gosh, I mean, I think we covered time frames, right? That's a huge
5
one that
months,
most people
huge.
talk to us about. Yeah, time frame wise, we've been able to get very efficient on time to get that down to the 5 month mark.
Suppliers?
Yeah, suppliers. So we have suppliers, 3 main factories that we build from. And so there's, like I said, it's 150 plants.
Are they all local?
They're all in Arizona,
Okay.
correct. Yep. And so they're building, I think we covered it earlier, but they can build a section of a home in a day at the factory. And so that's how fast it takes to literally just, to get the
I
home
want to
built.
go on a tour of the factory. Can we do that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Amazing.
That would be amazing.
Okay.
Yeah, we would love to do that.
After the first of the year.
Yeah,
Okay,
absolutely.
perfect.
You call us. We'll make
Okay.
that happen. I guess the one thing maybe we didn't cover as much is pricing. Some people are very interested as to well, what are you talking about here? What is this price point? On average, we just did a company retreat. We reviewed kind of what our average price is on the home and the setup for this past year. And we're hovering around $200,000 to $225,000. So you add the land into that, right? If you buy a lot or
Right.
2 acres or
And
whatever.
septic and utilities.
No, that's including that.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, so that's you essentially just add the land value or the
moly.
land cost to that, and that's about what we're averaging for. So clearly, very easily under 300,000, 250, 275, somewhere around there. It seems to be hitting right now, and that's not by no means either a cheap house.
Okay, so who surveys the land to make sure, John, that it is appropriate for a setup of a manufactured home?
That's a great question. So most of the time, so we have a full-time sales team. Sales teams help the folks navigate whether they're looking for a piece of property, they want to get it in escrow. They contact the sales rep, and the sales rep takes a 30,000 foot view real quick to go, okay, no flood concerns, this,
Right,
this, and
okay.
this. And then once they're in escrow, we do a site evaluation where our construction manager goes out there, measures everything, plots it, checks utility locations or whatnot. So when the customer gets the construction quote, it is for that lot specifically with everything in mind for the job.
Wow, amazing. John Rocha, owner of Southwest Homes, Mr. Mike Enders, Bent Tree Custom Homes, and me, your YCCA girl. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Hammer Time, waking up with the YCCA, a presentation of the Yavapai County Contractors Association. Once again, here's your host, Sandy Griffiths.
So, John Rocha, owner of Southwest Homes. So, how do people reach you?
928-899-3845. That's our main line. Also, info@southwesthomesaz.com. So Southwest is all spelled out. And they could also, once online and on our website, southwesthomesaz.com, they could see that we could also have our sales team connect with any customer and also go show them. We currently have 3 models right now that they can see.
Wonderful. John, this was just a fantastic show this morning, wasn't it, Mike?
Yes, it was. Thank you.
We so appreciate having you with us. You will be back because there is far too much information that we did not even uncover yet. So, listeners, we're going to waddle off. Until next weekend, I'm Sandy.
I'm Mike.
And this is John Rocha. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for having us. Thanks for tuning in. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Hammer Time. Thank you for tuning in to Hammer Time. Waking up with the YCCA, a presentation of the Yavapai County Contractors Association. Heard each and every Saturday morning at 7, with an encore presentation Sunday mornings at 7 on AM 1130 by 99.9 FM in Prescott, 95.5 FM, Prescott Valley and Cottonwood, and online at kqna.com. A library of past Hammer Time shows can be listened to on the Yavapai County Contractors website at ycca.org. Break it down.